You kept pushing on, but then you went too far. When your ship has sailed and all your dreams are lost, everything is wrong, you feel like it's your fault. Just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me. You're stronger now than you ever been. You gotta leave now, it's time to catch the wind. You will climb up high and look through the clouds, and when you're feeling low, I know you'll bounce back. Oh, and just remember, I will be there for you, baby. Remember, there's nothing out there to get you, don't forget it. When life throws lemons, just call me. Just call me. Just call me. Just call me.
Welcome, race fans, to the Racers Elite Cup Series playoff race at Talladega Superspeedway. I'm your host, Dave Regal, and I'm here with my partner in crime, Mr. Jordan Brockell, to bring you all the action from this wild and unpredictable track. The Racers Elite Cup Series is the pinnacle of stock car racing, and the playoffs are where the best of the best come to compete for the championship. 12 drivers have made it to this stage of the season, and they're all hungry for victory. Talladega is known as one of the most challenging tracks on the circuit, with its long straightaways, the tri-oval, the dogleg, and its high-banked corners. It's a track where anything can happen, and today's race is no exception. The drivers will have to be on their toes from start to finish, as the racing will be intense and the competition will be fierce. We've already seen some amazing moments in the playoffs so far, and I have no doubt that we're in for another thrilling race today. So ladies and gentlemen, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show as we bring you all the action, from the green flag to the checkered flag, right here on Sim Racing Media. And folks, glad to have all of you checked in with us tonight as the YouTube.com live chat gets ready to load itself up here. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you turn on those bell notifications and subscribe to Sim Racing Media, as we are on basically 6 nights a week right now, Jordan. It's a busy, busy day.
Oh, absolutely, but that's the great thing is, we are motorsports fans, so being busy means that we are having fun on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and you and I are set for some fun. We were having some off-the-air giggles just before going on tonight, and I'll tell you what, this night that we have here at Talladega Superspeedway is something special. I mean, first of all, this is 2.66 miles of pure speed, and what we see at a place like this is unlike anything else in our sport.
Oh, absolutely, and I mean, you're upwards of almost 200 mile an hour in a tight little group, and I mean, just doing that with, say, 5 cars is enough of a challenge in itself. Here we're having close to 20 cars, and I mean, it's 17,000 different things going on at once from 20 different minds, and at some point 2 minds are going to do the same thing at the same time, and that's when the big one happens, or we get those little bits of scares, and or things of that nature, where then we end up having broken up packs and 2 big packs, and there's a ton of different things that can happen, and strategy just goes right out the window at a place like this.
Without a doubt. Now, 19 drivers are logged into the session right now, so we know that those 19 drivers will absolutely make the field. And, of course, out of those 19 drivers, many of the playoff drivers already, getting their qualifying times in. In fact, let's go ahead and pull up our point standings for the time being, because this is kind of what everybody's been paying attention to the last several weeks as we get ready to roll here. Brendan Wilcox sits atop the pile. He's followed by Andrew Teft, Brandon Honeycutt, Lee Campbell, and Truth Hope. They're your top 5. And the crazy thing is, Brendan Wilcox with that win in his back pocket, he's up to 2,130 points. Andrew Teft and Brandon Honeycutt are separated by 1. 1. Not like 21, just 1. I kind of felt like the teacher from Willy Wonka. What do you mean 2? Let's just say you had 200. No, it's just 1. And
yeah, and at a place like this, you could go from, say, that top spot in first to dead last in, less than a blink of an eye, in my opinion.
Yeah, at Talladega in the first place, you can be riding in the back, and I'm talking for a good hour, and next thing you know, you're leading the race in the blink of an eye. This is the kind of place where momentum and speed are your very, very best friends, and it's not a whole lot about footwork besides keeping your foot mashed down on the throttle. Rolling out of turn 2, the car has a tendency, especially here in the Nextgen car, the rear end has a tendency to try to loosen itself up, which is where you get all of that speed. And if you get a good tailwind there, you're begging for trouble.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that just chaos just comes out of nowhere. You could be fine for 20 laps doing the same exact thing, and you get one of those wins, or just kind of movements that completely change the dynamic of the car, and next thing you know, you're trying to save a slide while going 190 mile an hour, while others are having a little bit of a spazzing moment around you.
Yeah, and everybody's basically hanging on for dear life. The knuckles are going to be whiter than a bedsheet tonight, and to me, I know that a lot of these drivers, especially when they get back in traffic, are going to be busy gentlemen.
Yeah, and it's hard to decide. Do you want to run up front? Do you want to be in at the lead of this thing and kind of have the track position, or do you want to hang out back and kind of play it safe? You never want to be the guy in the middle, but somebody has to be the guy in the middle. But how hard do you try to stay in the back or move up to the front? It's really just a split-second decision that you have to make, and it sets up your plan for the rest of the race, and barring any cautions or anything.
Yeah, and these drivers here have built a reputation of being safe and incredible, and I don't want to jinx it too soon, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut about that. But for now, let's take a look at our starting grid as drivers are getting ready to hop into the race cars tonight here at Talladega Superspeedway. Andrew Teft going to be your pole sitter, and he will sit along Ed Jurgen in the number 92. As, oops, I scrolled too far away, couldn't touch the button. There it is. Diego Rodriguez and Troy Thomas going to be in row number 2, while row 3 is going to feature Marshall Harris, and Chris Blasi on the outside. Brendan Wilcox and Brandon Sanfilippo, a couple of playoff drivers, they're going to be here in row number 4, while Lee Campbell and Paul Shaw going to round out your starting top 10. Bill Skinner, and Curtis Ecker going to hold things together in row number 6, while Richard Ode and Matt Metler, our teammate, and of course my work wife on a Sunday night here for Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series action, they're going to be in row number 7. Truth Hoke and Brandon Honeycutt going to be holding the fort down in row number 8, while our teammate and basically the man that works all of the behind-the-scenes action for our productions here, Alan Bergen, he's going to be on the inside of row number 9 alongside of Kensley Smith, and starting shotgun on the field tonight is playoff driver Dennis Kane. And I have a feeling that a lot of these playoff drivers are going to be trying to start from the back to let maybe some of the mess get out of the way before bad things happen to them.
Yeah, and that's one of those things is, if you try to stay out back and wait for that mess, and that mess doesn't come, I mean, you're going to have a ton of ground to try and make up ahead of you, and that's where this place is very difficult. Mentally, it's you've got to have the right ideas and basically hope and pray for the things that you're expecting to happen. Otherwise, I mean, you could have yourself in a situation where you only come, in 15th or 14th, and cause yourself a little bit of a deficit points wise here.
19 drivers scheduled to take the green flag tonight. As we get ready to roll, Andrew Teft with control of the field behind the iRacing.com pace car. As all of these drivers work their way here around turn number 3. And of course, we have to remember that Talladega is the racetrack with that extra little dog leg here. The start-finish line is not actually at the apex of the tri-oval. It's actually beyond the tri-oval. That, of course, was a move by Big Bill France when they designed this racetrack to try to sell more seats down the front stretch and into turn 1. Everybody usually tries to crowd around the start-finish line, and he wouldn't be wrong. So, to negate that, he moved the start-finish line.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, it's one of the more ingenious things, I think, in my mind. It's just different. It brings a different kind of feel to it.
Absolutely. Well, the iRacing.com pace car peels off down pit road. The only thing that's left to do is it's time to wipe the visor and adjust the 5-point harness. Grandma, grab some popcorn, call a friend, and settle in. Race fans, it's showtime!
Yeah, you can see a big shot by the 20 of Diego Rodriguez already. And I want to say, before we get too deep into this, a guy that I want to watch all night long is going to be Brandon Sanfilippo. This man has been on a tear in both the Xfinity Series, winning back-to-back races in the Xfinity Series, and here, it could be a 3 in a row for him, or 3 in the last 4, I should say.
Getting a good bump from behind right now is Andrew Teft, driver, the number 98. He's got the Racers Elite Dark Horse Ford Mustang cranked up to crazy. Early on in these green flag runs, we're going to see a lot of speed coming out of the bottom line. However, that top line, once those guys get themselves organized, as they're trying to go 3 wide back here, in and around Paul Shaw in the 25, as it looks like perhaps, oh dear, that's not safe. Matt Metler on the high side, he's being pushed along by Brandon Honeycutt. I don't know if they snorted themselves a little bit of happy juice here or what, but I don't see this as being a good idea. But, that upper line, if they decide to go double file, and they should, Metler, but that upper line suddenly becomes like a feeder line, and you're able to start, drafting on the outside. You build up a heck of a lot of speed, and then you're shoving that drafting partner down to the low line for the short run. So, once these guys get this 3 wide business out of their system, I think we'll be fine. And speaking of 3 wide out of their system, here's Troy Thomas from Boone, North Carolina. I don't know how he must have felt there for just those few moments, but it was 3 wide. He was the meat, and that's not the way you want to be here. As we turn around and we take a look here out the back end now, and all we can see is traffic. None of these guys have really fallen off. We don't have anybody crazy off pace. In fact, it's less than half a second from last to first right now.
Yeah, I mean, people just all over each other here, and when they go three wide like that at the start, I feel like I think of the dude from the newer edition of Mad Max, where he sprays the gasoline in his mouth to just blow it into the air intake of one of the cars. Like, I feel like that's what they're doing to themselves, essentially, is they have someone spraying the gasoline into them, and they just get all ramped up and ready to go.
Well, and you know what? Early on, while everybody's still fresh, nobody's, it's kind of like in baseball. When you get into like a 12-pitch at-bat, somebody's going to make a mistake. But when it's early on in the at-bat or the game overall, I mean, everybody's on the top of their game. Speaking of top of their game, Richard Ode just laid down a 49.22-second lap as we work lap number 4 here tonight. Tire wear not really a major factor as far as grip is concerned, but I'll tell you what, if you get yourself into one of those three wide situations, it's turbulent and you want as much grip as you can have.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cases of where, you're on older sets of tires deep into a run, low fuel load, keeping that rear end to the ground, and you just have that one slight, and I mean, it's a slight movement to the left or right, and I mean, it's almost like the whole entire rear end becomes weightless and wants to come around, and you're playing that I've got to save it game and just kind of waiting for the inevitable there.
Well, and right now, the people who are saving it are people like Diego Rodriguez, as we're going to go on board with him. The first thing to understand is that Diego Rodriguez, being where he is right now behind Andrew Teft, he doesn't have to hold the throttle wide open. The interesting thing is Teft is usually the driver that we're paying closest attention to when it comes to saving fuel. He has become one of the people that I really look to when it comes to fuel saving. He's one of those, he's basically a mad scientist. I mean, I've seen him, early on in the run, and I'm talking, 10 and 15 laps into a run, and he's, switching his ignition box off and coasting through turns just to save that extra drop of fuel.
Yeah, and I mean, he doesn't have to stay out there the entire run, and I'm sure that someone on the outside is going to end up, getting pushed by him, and that's when he'll take his chance to sit behind somebody and save, and, essentially equalize himself out. And I mean, he could also be one of the guys that ends up, letting himself drop all the way to the back towards, the middle of this run, towards the end of this run, just to save that extra lap or two to get where he needs to be. So, I mean, he is the saving master. Oh, we see three wide here. Oh, it makes me scary when you see everybody move around. It looks like Alan Bergen is off the pace there. Alan's the first guy to fall out of this pack.
Yeah, not sure what that was that caused him there, but he and our teammate Matt Metler, so both of our SRM teammates are either off or off the pace or at the rear of the main pack here, while playoff driver Brandon Sanfilippo here in the 12 machine, he's got that MPA Sanfilippo Chevrolet Camaro cranked up right now, but he's trying to get his way up here to the double nickel of Truth Hogue, and it looks like even Truth Hogue is starting to lose a little bit of steam here as they are three wide. Look right here at Ed Jurgen. He is the meat in this three-wide sandwich. And this is where the mistakes are going to be made. A bump from the 15. That's not the time. As Kensley Smith giving the bump draft to the 11 of Chris Blasi. Blasi had to be looking in the rearview mirror going, not now, not now.
Yeah, and if you look at the front end of Truth Hogue, he's got a good bit of damage there. I mean, that entire centerpiece is pushed in. And that's going to be a big effect. I mean, there could be some damage to the engine. It's going to affect the way the air moves off of his car. So, I mean, he's going to probably have a hard time trying to stay onto this pack here if he doesn't get a chance to come down and get that fixed quickly.
Well, Andrew Teft still our race leader here. We can see here on the left-hand side of your screen, those drivers highlighted in blue, they're your playoff drivers. And we've only got a couple of playoff drivers missing right now. In fact, as I'm looking here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're missing 3 of them. Not sure where those guys are, but right now, the leader of the pack, vroom vroom, is Andrew Teft.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at Alan. He's about to finish his 7th lap. And, we're getting awfully close to that over/under number here.
Alan's down pit road here. He must have had some kind of damage.
Without a doubt.
Working lap number 9, Andrew Teft bringing the field down the back chute. I see here Brandon Honeycutt, as we're going to go on board, he's starting to dip off a little bit from the rest of that lead pack, but he sees here on the inside, that's Kensley Smith. Kensley Smith with a run and a good push from the 4 of Dennis Kane. I'm sure Honeycutt would like a piece of that, as now it looks like the 15 is going to take some of that momentum. He peeked out for just a second. He thought, well, maybe I'm going to see if I can swing this one. I don't know if he can, as it sounds like, and I'm listening to the RPMs of the 13, and I don't think he's got it hooked up there on the high side. He's going to have to stay down here with Richard Ode in the 78.
Yeah, and it looked like for a while he was trying to get behind his teammate of Kensley Smith. And, you know, those guys are usually pretty good at getting together, but here they've had a little bit of a struggle. You know, Sanfilippo back in 17th. Kensley moving his way fast by himself on the outside to 4th. And then, you know, Honeycutt finds a little bit of speed to get up there to 8th now. It almost looks like we have a pretty big shake up there for a moment.
You know, we were talking about the ability to go from the back of the pack to the front of the pack, and here's Kensley Smith coming from the very rear to now P4.
Yeah, and I mean, he made a massive move on his own. I mean, I've seen some crazy things, but that man basically went from just outside the top 10 to inside the top 5 on his own.
That was interesting. Watch the 21. Now that's Marshall Harris. And Harris got a little loose there. He was kind of wobbling. Just remember, Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
No, they certainly don't fall down, but they'll head straight up towards the wall.
Oy vey. A good bump from the 20 to the 98, and that sends the 98 of Andrew Teft up in line. But the 21 of Harris kind of takes away some of that. Oh, the 13 just got loose. The 13 still trying to recover. His hands are busier than a cucumber in a woman's prison. Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, Marshall Harris, Andrew Teft, and William Skinner are your top 5 for the time being. As right now, Kensley Smith now leads with the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt, who finally got that car reeled back in and under control.
Yeah, that's definitely not a feeling that you want to have when traveling at 190 mile an hour. It's terrifying because, I mean, you've got to be precise on your corrective steering. And, you know, we've seen where somebody's sliding and they have that wheel in it to keep it saved, but as soon as you get that kind of grip to the tires, it's going to send it up to the right.
We're on board right now with Brandon Honeycutt. We just saw a moment ago that he was trying to reel his car back in. Let's go here onto the cockpit cam in his helmet, and we can see just what's going on. And I mean, you know, realistically, this young man right now trying to hold it together as he leans forward to see. I mean, you can see just the way that he's nestled back in that seat. But he's now got the car. Oh, dear almighty. That was not good. A little bit of connection issue here for the 21 as he's now disappeared. And he's got to be careful because I don't see him anymore, and he's been gone off the track. Oh, and now he just reappeared. Marshall Harris going to have to start watching. Oh, dear.
Oh.
First caution of the night.
Skinner seems to be the one that grabbed the most damage there. certainly going to be paying the price for that one. You can see all kinds of damage on that thing right now.
Let's watch what happened here to the 4 car. Working just behind the 9. The 4 goes high. That's Dennis Kane, and he collects the 9. Oh. Now, fortunately,
Dennis Kane with a hard shot.
They do have a fast repair in this league, so they will be able to quick get down and get that repaired and back on track. What that does also do is gets our buddy Alan Bergen back onto the lead lap.
Yeah, and he, of course, had to make it over the 12.5 line that I picked. How dare he?
Well, let's see if anybody comes down pit road. I'm starting to get curious. Brandon Honeycutt going to lead us down pit road. Here he comes, as we're going to see just how much we can get out of this. I'm curious to see if everybody does, and they do. Lee Campbell stays out. Lee Campbell stays out. Alan Bergen going to stay out. I'm not mad at him for this one. Alan was the lucky dog anyway. Skinner's staying out for the time. Nope, he came in on 15. Otherwise, it is mass pit stops.
Yeah, and I mean, you see a lot of these, some of these are tires, but I do believe Diego and Ed Jurgen maybe either took just right sides or just a full tank of fuel. So we're going to see right there firsthand how that's going to work versus these guys that did take tires.
Well, looks like everybody took tires. Now, the interesting thing there becomes, what about the cold tire bug? Now, we know here on iRacing.com that not everybody always remembers when those tires are cold. And right now, the track temperature is 113 degrees. So cold tires plus hot asphalt equals brown stains in your fire suit.
Certainly hope that if you got a suit, it's a dark color, because you don't want to be like, was it Denny Hamlin talking about him going and having yellow stains on his suit? He's like, give me a Gatorade bottle.
I don't blame him.
Certainly not. I mean,
let's think about it. I mean, whether it's a few hours or not, it's still, sometimes a 500-mile race. You can't go to Myrtle Beach, and mind you, from our neck of the woods, Myrtle Beach is, somewhere between 550 and 500 and 600 miles, depending on where you're at, and at least from here, and it's still 500 miles. You got to stop and pee at least once.
well, I mean, I'm one of those weirdos that, like, I don't like stopping, so I'll hold it until the last possible second, so I could maybe get 3/4 to 80%, 90% of the way there before I'm absolutely busting.
I usually make it to the North Carolina border. I can get through Virginia. And now it's not a factor at all. Now I just fly. If you
Yeah, I
can't
feel
hold
like
for an hour and a half, you need some medication.
I feel like my bladder likes to scream at me because of how often I'm just like, you can make it.
Great. There's my boy Jordan busting a kidney.
Well, between the sweet tea, probably going to mess up my kidneys to begin with, and then that, I mean, I'm doomed. Yeah, and I see Marshall's still down there as well. Marshall Harris still on pit road.
Yeah, Marshall's down pit road. Looks like Richard O just got himself off, and Dennis Kane is going to quick scurry here to the rear of the field.
It's very scary to get off here, too, because, I mean, you've got to be able to carry the speed around the corner and try to catch up to the group, and then get it slowed down enough to get back in line, and then hope that you can, not run anybody over in the process.
Well, especially right if you're on the edge. I mean, when you're trying to come down off the racing surface and you're already on the low side, you're already flirting with sheer possibility of tragedy when you're down near that yellow line.
Yeah, I mean, it's treacherous, and I mean, it's really hard to just carry that much with you. We're going to see these guys reach that restart zone. Ed Jurgen going to have control here. Going to lead these guys on through that box. Going to take off here, and he's going to get a big jump there. A little bigger than the average jump that you want.
Yeah, the problem with getting that good of a jump here at a place like Talladega is literally just what you're seeing happen now. You're going to watch that high line. They're already tightened up here on the high side. There's Matt Mettler, and they've already got themselves linked up, and if Andrew Teft gets a run behind you, he's about to steal the lead away as Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, and Matt Mettler just blow the doors off of the low side. They bring along with them the 11 and the 12. That's Chris Blasi and Brandon Sanfilippo. Heather Hochgrieve cheering on the 20. And now all of a sudden, after a good restart from Ed Jurgen, Brandon Honeycutt in less than a full lap takes the lead away.
Yeah, and I mean, just look at Jurgen. I mean, he's lost 5 positions from that start, and that's how together that entire group up top got, in line together. And as I was saying, Kensley Smith, Honeycutt in line together. With the teammates of, I believe Chris Blasi is a part of DEI. I'm having a little bit of a brain fog. But I know Sanfilippo is a part of that Driving Extreme as well. So 4 guys right there in the line, all willing to work with each other. And Matt Mettler is going to be the benefactor there in between this sandwich.
And here they come down the backstretch. Here's Matt Mettler running in 3rd position right now. We'll take a quick peek here on board with our boy as the Bills Mafia Nation driver, and apparently my mom's favorite driver. That's fine. I don't drive anymore. He can be my mom's favorite driver. He knows. He gets the show. He's starting to draft up right behind Kensley Smith, and as we look right out the rear bumper here, he's got just enough room where Blasi, if he gets a run, can swing to the outside. So, Mettler almost has to back up to bring Blasi along as part of that connection rather than let Blasi get the run.
Yeah, and I feel like at some point they're gonna try to get Mettler out of this little group that they have, because they want to be 1 through 4 with each other and working with them themselves and give them that buffer there that they don't have to worry about being overtaken. And that's what's really big here at Talladega and Daytona, and now even Atlanta, is finding your friends and working with them.
Honeycutt, Smith, Mettler, Blasi, Sanfilippo, that's your top 5 as we work here at Talladega Superspeedway. 22 laps in the books. We're working our way toward the checkered flag after lap 75. And these drivers have their act together, for lack of a better term. I love watching this league, and don't get me wrong, I love all of the leagues that we have here on Sim Racing Media. But this one, when I know that, first off, you and I are going to be hanging out for a little while together, and we're going to be watching the Racers Elite Series, I'm in. 2 thumbs way up.
Absolutely. When it comes to these guys, it's just always just fascinating, and it's always down to the wire, and it's always you're on the edge of your seat, no matter which series you're in. And I'm really looking forward to the Stafford series that I'll be taking on. It's a different type of league. I'm going to be covering late model stocks, SK modifieds, and wheel and tour modifieds, all at one, in one show. So it's going to be one of those where it's going to be 3 races in one, and it's going to be exciting.
See, to me, that is just so cool. I know that, of course, in the dirt world and the short track world, whether asphalt or not, that, there are racetracks that races every Friday night, Saturday night, something to that effect, and there are track champions, and that's really what you're looking at with the Stafford series, especially when you're using so many different types of race car. And again, another facet to that is just the fact that now it's kind of simulating Saturday night, in dirt track country.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's even more fun because I was a part of a team that basically did this down in Spotsylvania, Virginia, at Dominion Raceway. I worked with a late model stock car team, and you would watch and listen to all the other cars running around the track, trying to get yours set up and ready to go for the next race. And once you get it out there, you come in, you gotta reset it up, get reorganized to run the second race. So I've been a part of that life. So to be able to have a broadcast where I'll be basically doing and commentating what I was a part of brings a lot of joy to me, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Off the pace is Matt Metler. He just dropped all the way down and actually has a connection issue. This is something that's kind of common for Matt, unfortunately, because he's down there on, God's blackboard, Florida. Don't you remember, like, on a Friday when you were in school, you used to just take, like, the big bucket of water and a big ugly sponge and wipe the blackboard down?
Oh, why were things that, like, unimportant the things that we as kids wanted to do? For literally no reason at all. We were like, nah, I want to be the one to do that. You were literally signing yourself up for manual labor.
Right, but the thing is, there is something so satisfying about a fresh blackboard. By the way, kids, a blackboard is what came before the thing that hangs on the wall in your classroom now, whether it's a smartboard or a whiteboard. A blackboard used to use chalk, and chalk is a natural mineral.
And I remember using the projectors, and
the transparency overlays.
The transparency overlays, and I hated when I got called on to go up there because I always felt like it blinded the crap out of me trying to write on it. I don't know how that ever became a thing that people could write on, but then it was like my handwriting was so bad, and the markers always kind of bled together, so it just looked like a bunch of smudges instead of the numbers and letters it was supposed to be.
No, I'm with you. I mean, when I was a kid, that was a thing. There was also something called an opaque projector, where if you wanted to show a textbook without the hassle of making a transparency copy, you would lay the textbook in this machine, and it had like 3 or 4 different mirrors in it, and it would reflect the image just like a transparency projector. But it was opaque. It would you could put 3D objects in it if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and it's just crazy to see where technology has come, because I remember the smart board was a new thing when I was in middle school. It was my math teacher, Miss Bailey. We had to calibrate it all the time, and it never wanted to work right, but then it would work awesome, and there was just a bunch of different things with it.
We didn't have the smart board yet.
Well, I mean, we are different ages, my friend. I know I may act like an old man, but, I am certainly not an old man.
I am class of 2007.
Yeah, we're only 7 years apart.
Yeah. I was leaving high school and going into the workforce, and you were worried about what lunch was the next day and whether or not you had milk money for an extra.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I was trying to put gas in the truck so I could go make money.
I was going home to play some kind of video game just to screw off for the rest of the day instead of having to do actual work.
I was in 2007. I was just trying to. Brandon Honeycutt leads this race now. Kensley Smith, Chris Blasi, Brandon Sanfilippo, and Ed Jurgen. That's your top 5. Lee Campbell, Matt Mettler, and Marshall Harris all off the pace. It looks like Marshall Harris may have put it on the hauler, as does Mettler. Lee Campbell still trying to make laps here as we go to him. He's currently running just along pretty much all by himself here. Who is that with him? That's the 19 of Curtis Ecker.
Yeah, and I don't know what exactly happened to Mettler. I know he had connection issues, but I mean, I don't know if he actually lost his packets and got forced out or what. Alan Bergen's still out there as well, so he's definitely destroying my line here. This is why I'm not a betting man either.
I told you.
I said 12.5.
I told you not more than 20.
I mean, this is why we both shouldn't be gambling men.
I don't gamble. Nope.
Look, I say I'm not going to gamble, and then football season comes around, and then I put a bet, and I miss it by like nothing. Like I had a bet that was it was paying out like $790 if I won. And all I needed was Jordan Love to run for 8.5 yards for the entire game. I just needed him to run 8.5 yards. You know how many yards he ran? 0. Not one.
And what did you learn?
Don't put him on the next parlay and just pick everything the same.
No. The lesson is don't gamble. There you go. You know, and I don't gamble out of principle because, first off, I think it's complete BS that, of course, Major League Baseball banned Pete Rose for life and now is partnered with ESPN Bet.
Oh, it's crazy. And then you see DraftKings and all that stuff as well. So it's just like, come on.
Now, I will say, and this is kind of a fun one, in Cincinnati at the ballpark, they have a statue of Pete Rose, of course, as you do, and it is on the side facing the casino that's right next to the ballpark.
One of my stances on that is I've always said, that I feel like players should be allowed to make bets on their own team winning. That is it, and that is the only thing. I mean, it still opens the doors for, the guy to drop a pass on purpose or something of that nature, or try to get somebody to help him out. But, I mean, in reality, you want to win if you're a real player. You want to win, so why not bet on yourself to win?
To be fair, Pete Rose always stood by the fact that he never bet against himself. So he says.
And Pete Rose is a legend, and I just don't understand. I mean, you've got people like Barry Bonds and all of that going into the Hall of Fame when their records are sham records, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Barry Bonds still is one of the most dominant hitters in history, even if there wasn't any super juice. But it's one of those things that it's just like, you let him in and you let others of that same nature in, but not Pete Rose.
The interesting thing, and I am a defender of the steroid era.
Right, and I mean, it's certainly in itself an amazing era.
Steroids saved baseball coming out of the 93 strike. People were tired of baseball players having the nerve to strike because they make an absurd amount of money playing a game that, kids will play for free. And, attendance was down, viewership was down, baseball was essentially an afterthought for many Americans. And when the steroid thing happened, when it was going on, people were suddenly tuning in. I mean, I remember watching, Phillies baseball here just outside the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And, you'd be watching a Phillies game, some random game, and when McGuire was on the search for 61, basically we were cutting to go to side-by-side to watch McGuire. And sometimes it was a 3-pitch strikeout. But other times he jacked another one, and another one, and another one. You know, that whole thing brought people back to baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I've seen posts, and I feel like I would be all for this, and I feel like it would have a good standing at, you know, becoming a very popular thing. Imagine if there was just a baseball league where everyone was allowed to juice up, and it didn't matter. Like, they just juice up if they wanted, and you know, you just have a full-on 9-on-9 juiced up, big, you know, beefy dudes playing baseball.
It is true. I think there were just a lot of jealous people.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, it's just, it's sad sometimes that you have those people. And I mean, I feel like the only place that I feel like steroids really get to that point where it's like, nah, don't need it, is MMA and boxing and you know, stuff where you can actually hurt someone. Oh yeah, 100%.
When there's a $100 million contract on the line, you pretty much do, especially, you know, depending on what kind of a situation you came from. You know, if you were somebody who was less fortunate. Look, I was raised by a single dad. If somebody offered me $100 million to play baseball and all I had to do was take a needle and see what happens, sign me up.
Sign me up. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, even today, if the Phillies called me tomorrow and said, hey, listen, Scott Fransky's out, you're in, but we can only pay you 50 cents a game, sign me up.
Exactly. I mean, give me league minimum. Pay me under the table if you need to. I don't care. Just put me out there.
Yeah, I think that whole era was saved by steroids. I really do. But getting back to the race here tonight, 38 laps in the books. We're past the halfway point now, as Brandon Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, Chris Blasi, Brandon Sanfilippo, and Ed Yergin still lead this piece here in the top 5. Ed Yergin has a rearview mirror full of Andrew Teft. Andrew Teft is just ahead of Bethlehem, Pennsylvania's Paul Shaw. And as I mentioned before, Paul Shaw is from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and it's really only Bethlehem during December. The rest of the year we call it Bethlehem.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but still don't know where it is because Pennsylvania is very confusing.
Bethlehem is suburban Allentown.
The only place I can ever find my way to is Oxford.
It's not there.
No, I know it's not there, but I know where Oxford is.
Do you know where Philadelphia is?
Oh, well, I see, that's the thing, is I feel like I put Philly on its own island. I feel like Philly is its own state.
All right, so
in my brain.
Let me describe where Bethlehem is. Do you know where Philly is?
Yep.
It's not there. It's north of Philly by about 65 miles. Give or take, I'm guessing.
Somewhere up there in the north.
39 laps in the books. We're going to be 35 to go in just a moment here. So about 70 miles left at Talladega Super Speedway for these drivers in the Racers Elite Cup Series. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight with Jordan Brockell and myself, Dave Regal, here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Always glad to have everybody tuning in. I don't see a whole lot of action here in the YouTube.com live chat, so folks, let us know what you're paying attention to, what you're looking for, as we're watching a really good battle right now. Kensley Smith trying to scurry away from Chris Blasi, but he can't afford to get too far away because Blasi's going to get a run from Brandon Sanfilippo behind him.
Yeah, and I mean, you can see these guys are all right there in a little line there, so they have full control of this field and can basically make everyone do at their own mercy here.
Brandon Honeycutt with a little connection issue here as we rolled back down the front stretch. I hope Honeycutt can hold it together because you don't want to be that guy, especially when you're in front of the entire field. That's incredibly disorienting when you're the driver immediately behind.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you just don't really know what to do to yourself there.
Hold on and pray.
Essentially, I mean, that's what it is. You just gotta have faith.
Oh, you got to have faith.
Oh, man.
.35 to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. You're watching the Racers Elite Cup Series. Jordan and I are going to step away and pay some bills here on Sim Racing Media, but don't go away. We'll be NASCAR side by side as we're here for the Racers Elite Cup Series third round of the playoffs at Talladega Superspeedway.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom.
Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As that's still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh,
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Where is the live stream? There it is. Whoa, that was scary. As we come back, we're going to be all over, well, at this point, it's going to be green flag pit stops here. And my goodness, here they come en masse. Kensley Smith brings the first group down. That leaves Andrew Teff, Paul Shaw, Diego Rodriguez, and Troy Thomas out here alone. But Brendan Wilcox with a strong showing as he slides into the pit box. And now scrambling off a pit road is Kensley Smith, Brendan Wilcox, Brandon Honeycutt. Kensley Smith, he's going to lead the charge here off a pit road, as now it's a matter of when does Andrew Teff come down, and the answer is now. Here comes Andrew Teff, Paul Shaw, Diego Rodriguez, Truth Hoke, and Troy Thomas. The next time we're going to see all of these drivers gathered up will either be at a caution or the checkered flag.
Yeah, and I mean, it's it's going to be one of those things where we're going to see, basically what's going to happen is if it stays green, we're going to see who can keep the straightest single file line that's most together, and that's going to determine if that lead pack can pull away or if that trailing pack can catch up.
They get off a pit road, but I don't think it's in time to try to maintain their track position, as nope. Here comes Smith. Good Lord. This is a freight train. This is one heck of a freight. Whoa! There's that. Remember I talked about that earlier on. You come out of turn 2 and that whole rear end of the car wants to lift up. And it doesn't very much help when the 14 is attached to your bumper.
Not at all, and it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying, and because any more of a wobble to either left or right side, and you're going towards the wall or towards the infield.
A little 4-car pack here at the front. That leaves Brandon Sanfilippo with Andrew Teft just in front of him. I'm sorry, that's Diego Rodriguez with Andrew Teft just in front of him. Sanfilippo in a little 3-car spat here. The 13, the 92, and the 12, then the 15 and the 26 all running together. So, drivers have their picks, even while Alan Bergen's back here staying safe, staying out of trouble. But the competition is definitely getting more fierce up here as the 14, a lapped car, is pushing our race leader right now, Kensley Smith.
I feel like I want to get Alan a I did it sticker or a you tried sticker just because I know it would make him roll his eyes.
You know what, though? This is one of the smarter races that I've seen him run. He's staying out of trouble. He's on the lead lap. Nothing bad going on. Go ahead. Let everybody else make the mistakes and then come from out of nowhere and steal a podium finish.
Absolutely. And Alan's the guy to do it, if anyone.
The problem for Alan right now is that he's got 9.3 seconds up to Truth Hoke and 5.8 seconds back to Troy Thomas. He's got a long area of real estate here on the racetrack. Welcome in Robert Yost here in the YouTube.com live chat, live from Watkins Glen. Of course, home of our road course race this week in the Sunday Night NASCAR Cup Series. Oh, joy. Oh, what fun road coursing is here.
But that's a fun time. I, for one, enjoy road courses.
Well, then you go ahead. Enjoy them.
I will. And I'm going to enjoy it in spite of you.
You would. You're that guy. You'll be like, oh, you don't like this? I'm going to like it twice as much.
I'm going to make a car that just says Dave Regal hates road courses and run it around.
I do. I genuinely hate them. And I think I only hate them because there are some drivers that really are good at them and most drivers that are really bad at them. And I've never been a fan of a road course whisperer. Here comes the 14. Kensley Smith just get out of the way. I think he's thinking about a little bit of fuel savery.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it always seems that at places like this, if you're that lead car, you always seem to find yourself being the one that's a lap or two short.
Well, and at a place like this, when you're the lead car up, in front of a pack, you're basically looking at it from the perspective of, oh, my foot has to be matched to the floor. But if you're drafting and you're behind and you're the pusher, you can afford to burp that throttle a little bit. You can afford to back off some on that throttle.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things you don't want to back off too hard because backing off you're going to end up way out of the pack. You see Kenzie Smith keeping a good distance there, probably only about half throttle, 3/4 throttle at most, just to hang on to the tail end of that 26 machine and just kind of work with him there.
We're approaching that 20 to go mark here at Talladega Superspeedway. Dave Regal and Jordan Brockel with you here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. Brendan Wilcox, your race leader here, as he's just behind the 14 and the 19. The 19 just crawling back onto the lead lap. Lee Campbell, though, in the 14, he leads the 19 of Curtis Ecker, and I guess he's trying to just keep him on the lead lap for the time being. But right now, your race leader is Brendan Wilcox, and he's able to keep that throttle maybe not all the way to the floor, as he's got a helper from behind in the 15 of Kensley Smith. And drivers are now spread out to the point where it's just going to become, a war of attrition until the very end when you start to see some of these guys get ready to make the move.
Yeah, and I kind of want to point out here, I think I know exactly what Kensley Smith was doing. Him backing off just a touch allowed Brandon Honeycutt to just kind of get a grip on that draft and pull himself into this conversation. And, that being a teammate, now it's 2-on-1, about to be 3-on-1 if Sanfilippo can get there.
Well, and Honeycutt, getting up behind Kensley Smith, of course, get yourself attached to a teammate. Honeycutt's a playoff driver. He needs this win more than Wilcox does, as he's already got the playoff win under his belt. So, Honeycutt's going to be the one that we have to watch, as now we went from nice 3-car little drive here on a Thursday evening to a few more cars getting involved in this dance.
Yeah, and for, Wilcox's benefit, at least he has these almost lap down cars in front of him, because he can save the entire time, and he doesn't really have to worry about, getting by them necessarily. I mean, he can essentially pick and choose. He's not going to be a sitting duck by any means. If everything stays where it is right now at 20, just over 20 to go, I mean, it's going to give him the ability to shotgun past them if he does. Oh, the 14 tries to get back in front of the 19, but slimly gets in there. But Wilcox isn't going to be a sitting duck waiting for someone else to make a move.
$20 to go from Talladega Superspeedway. Dave Regal and Jordan Brockel with you in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth. You're watching the Racers Elite Cup Series playoff race number 3 here on Sim Racing Media. And, of course, Heather Hawkgreave is cheering on the number 20. That is Diego Rodriguez. He's back here in the middle of a little mess here. It looks like about 6 cars running all together, and he is the anchor man. And Robert Yost checking in from Watkins Glen, New York, of course, up in New York's wine country. I don't like it. That's a New York wine. I don't wanna.
I don't wanna.
I'm that guy. I don't wanna.
It doesn't surprise me for some reason. Yeah, I feel like I can imagine the SpongeBob episode when he gets gambled away by Mr. Krabs and has to work for Plankton, and he's sitting on the couch and he's like, I don't really feel like it. That's you.
Oh, God, yeah. I'm not feeling it today. I'm just not.
I don't really feel like it.
I'll tell you what they don't feel like right now on the racetrack. Going to bed early, that's for sure. Right now, these guys will not be tucked in anytime soon with 19 to go. as we've only had one caution tonight. No other mishaps on the racetrack. I'm not trying to, conjure one. I'm not saying Beetlejuice 3 times. You don't want that guy running around in here.
No, not at all. And if it's going to come from anywhere, I think it's going to be from 6th to 11th, where we have that pack that's desperately trying to get up to these guys. One wrong push, and I mean, it's going to have those guys all wadded up.
One wrong slip, and it's all over, and somebody's losing a thumb.
Can it be my pinky? I don't think I really need that much. I'd like to keep my thumb.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I need the thumb. I don't know what finger I really don't need. I feel like
I need my middle one.
Weird if you don't have a ring finger.
Well, I need my middle one, like, absolutely. There's no real reason.
Hour.
I just need that one.
Yeah, I'm definitely that guy. Brendan Wilcox, Kensley Smith, Brandon Honeycutt, Ed Jurgen, Brandon Sanfilippo. That's your top 5, and they're all together now. This is going to be the interesting move here, because then you go back all the way over here to Andrew Teft, as he's got himself another group of drivers that he's leading. We've got the 98, the 9, the 11. I mean, these guys, they're just as hungry. The question becomes, what do they do to try to get up here to the 12 of Sanfilippo?
Yeah, and I mean, it's they've closed the gap. It was at one point just over 4 seconds. It's now sitting around 2, just under 3 seconds. So they're certainly coming. It's just, how long will it take them to get there? And it's one of those things, is what do they decide to do? Do they take it too wide, or do they just tuck in behind? There's a ton of different things. Andrew Teft could try to stay in line and work with Sanfilippo and company. But, I mean, that doesn't mean that Skinner and everyone behind's not going to try to come around him.
Starting to get a little curious about, what Teft is thinking. I know that he's a mad scientist. I mean, we look here as we go on board with Andrew Teft. I said Andrew Teft, thank you. He's one of the, when you're the lead car in one of these packs, all you can think of and all you can really say is, stick with me, fellas, stick with me. And we can start to see him closing this gap in. He's at 1.85 seconds, and he's starting to close like a Tomahawk missile, as he's now at 1.6. He's suddenly either getting a really good push from Bill Skinner behind him, or he's finally catching the draft of Sanfilippo.
Yeah, and I've been looking at the speeds over here, and I've seen Andrew Teft. He's up to 193 right now, as to where the leader of Brendan Wilcox is at 188. So I mean, between 5 and 6 mile an hour faster, each and every lap, and it's explaining is why these guys were able to catch them so fast.
14 laps to go. It's still anybody's race here at Talladega. 2.66 miles of 33-degree banking. Good Lord, as we come down the Alabama Gang super stretch.
Yeah, and I feel like with the speed that Teft is carrying, 197 down that backstretch to 186 from Wilcox leading that other pack. So, I mean, almost 10 mile an hour faster. Alan Bergen going to be upside right there, trying to stay in line. He's going to pick up Teft there, but Teft says, I don't want it.
Teft went, listen, I appreciate the offer, but I'm going to stick with it over here with my guys. Because now they go 3 wide. Here's Alan Bergen trying to catch somebody. Come on, somebody needs to let Alan, hey.
Olay.
I thought bad things were going to happen, but suddenly, now with 13 laps to go, we're back to side-by-side racing, and everybody's found one another. The only driver who's out here kind of on his own is Truth Hoke in the double nickel. And Hoke may be the next victim here of the leaders as they get past Curtis Ecker and start to plow their way forward toward the lap car of Truth Hoke.
Yeah, and I mean, Hoke has had an uphill battle this entire race, so if he could just kind of hang on, maybe get a little bit of a stuck to one of the fronts of these packs and hang on to that 12th, I mean, that's going to be a win for him in general. But, I mean, certainly things are not over here by any means with how this pack is all bunched up now. Oh, Andrew Tuft gets shoved down below the line.
Oh, here
and
we go.
Ran over by Sanfilippo. Jurgen in the wall with Jurgen and Bergen. That's a mouthful.
Let's see. Oy. Let's first go back here to Andrew Teft and watch him get out of line. Teft gets out of line. Jurgen went to go get out of his way, and Jurgen got right into the nose of the 89, and Alan Bergen just took a race car to the face.
Jurgen and Bergen.
Jurgen and Bergen.
Why does that sound like a weird German dish? Jurgen Bergen.
No, that would be Swedish. Oh, you want some Jurgen Bergen?
Yeah, you're right. Swedish makes much more sense.
They'll be selling it at IKEA over on 476 tomorrow. The Jurgen Bergen.
The Jurgen Bergen.
Oh my God, no, it's even better. It's the Swedish chef. Jurgen Bergen, Jurgen.
Jurgen Bergen. Jeez, that's one of those voices that when it gets started, you can't stop. It just lives there.
What's the race car? What's the race car? Jurgen Bergen.
Or Bergen Jurgen.
Nah, Jurgen Bergen sounds better.
Yeah, you're right. Either way, it's still funny.
Brendan Wilcox, he's going to get behind the iRacing.com pace car as he's going to slow things down. We already hear the throttle off, and he is coasting his way to the iRacing.com pace car. I'm guessing we're going to hear that from a lot of these drivers. Maybe a little bit of throttle action, but I don't think we're, I don't want to be that guy, but I just don't think that we're going to see a whole lot. There it comes. Wilcox, Skinner, Honeycutt, Smith, Sanfilippo, Teft, they're all down pit road. Now, Ode, Kane, Blasi, and Rodriguez all stay out. So those cars, if they don't come down pit road, they're not going to take fuel, so that'll make them a little bit lighter and possibly faster. Those fellas up there in that top 5, they're probably betting on, let's just say, no more cautions.
Yeah, and I mean, with 10 to go and then a full stacked up field, it's going to be hard to not see any more cautions here.
Richard O, Dennis Kane, Chris Blasi, Diego Rodriguez, Brendan Wilcox, Brendan Honeycutt, Kensley Smith, Andrew Teft, Ed Jurgen, and Bill Skinner. That's your top 10. Alan Bergen down pit road. He's got to have some real repair done right now as he's going to go off the lead lap, which is a shame for Alan. He was finally putting a good run together here, and he was staying safe, and then bad things happened.
Yeah, and I mean, props to him. I mean, it made it way further than I gave him credit for.
It's my boy.
You're my boy, Blue.
Such a good boy. Isn't he nice? He's just fine.
Oh, man.
George Carlin, we lost you too soon. I can only
Always
imagine.
the good ones. It's always the good ones.
Well, yeah, you can be a rotten jerk and live forever. See half of Congress. It's like Night of the Living Dead. On both sides of the aisle. We got them both. 80-year-old people going to work. At 80 in the regular world, if you want to work,
Dead.
if you want to work and you're 80 and you're a regular human being, You're working at like Walmart, being the greeter, or the guy that finds you the 8/32 machine screws over at Home Depot.
Exactly, but I don't know. Nope.
In Congress, you're immortal.
I'm pretty sure I saw one time this dude was at a Congress meeting, hearing, whatever it was, and I'm pretty sure he hit a pen, and then tucked it away into his jacket.
Whoops.
And I'm thinking to myself, probably what he needed to get through that Congress hearing, meeting, whatever you want to call it. I just need a swift brick to the back of my skull.
Well, they actually, when they're trying to induce people into medically induced comas, they don't use drugs anymore. They make them watch C-SPAN for 3 hours and they're gone.
I mean, that seems cruel and inhumane.
I mean, I say that, but I love watching C-SPAN.
I mean, it's comical in its own way. Sometimes it makes you want to. Sometimes it makes you want to throw. We're gonna refrain from anything I'm gonna say.
Yep. We are tiptoeing toward the edge.
I'm on the edge of glory, and I'm hanging on a moment with you.
No.
I thought this was karaoke.
No. You know what? If you do that on karaoke, I'm putting my face into a wood chipper. By the way, for activities in Miami while we were there, we need to find a karaoke place.
The last time I did karaoke, I didn't sing a single word because I was too nervous.
What'd you sing? Tequila? Tequila.
Oh, man.
Into the Geico restart zone we go. Richard Ode with control of the field drops the hammer, and off we go with 8 left.
It's actually a funny story. I was trying to sing "Dirt Road Anthem" by Jason Aldean because I like a little bit of country here and there, and I was a veterans bar, so it wasn't very diverse in music. So I tried to do that, and I think I got like maybe 3 words of the song because the rest of the song I was going.
That's fine.
Which is funny because then I ended up in a band, getting on stage and playing in front of hundreds of people at a time.
Not everybody is your broadcast partner. I've never met a microphone I couldn't use. Oh,
more ways than one.
Oh, you say that you need someone to speak? I got you. Oh, there's karaoke tonight? I'm your guy.
Oh, I can sit here and talk someone's ear off about absolutely nothing and make it sound like I'm talking about something knowledgeable.
Oh boy. We are having some fun now. I hate to cut you off in the middle of your story.
Oh, you're good. I see Jurgen, I think, was in the middle of a 3 wide at 1.2 with Sanfilippo and Hoke.
Jurgen's lucky that he didn't get yeeted.
Jurgen and Bergen.
Side by side we go down the backstretch. Watch the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt. He's drafting just to the high side now of Dennis Kane. I talked about this earlier. That high side has a 3 wide. Oh, God. 3 wide, and Diego Rodriguez is the meat.
Yeah, and Dennis Kane was all squirrely, so it wasn't very certain on what was going to happen. Sanfilippo opened a wall up top.
4 wide. 4 wide down into the front stretch, and now the 9 starts to melt back to the nose of the 78, where we go 3 wide again. Let's watch the 78. All of a sudden, the guys who didn't come down pit road, we can figure them out faster than Chinese algebra. Oh, this can get ugly. Oh, it can get ugly. Oh, I'm nervous.
Absolutely, but I was still trying to figure out Chinese algebra.
That's fine.
That one certainly got me, because I was like, what is Chinese algebra? Jurgen tries to jump down into a space that was about the car's width and almost went down below the apron there as they approached the corner.
That wouldn't have worked out well.
You can't park there.
You cannot. He'd wind up parking in the middle of the safer barrier with the nose right through. Wow. Watch the 11. The 11 of Chris Blasi just went from the low side, shuffled himself up high. Here comes Andrew Teft on the high side. With 5 laps to go, a lot of these drivers are starting to get chippy. Their patience is running
he-
thin, and as long as the talent runs thick, they should be good here through the end. Watch Chris Blasi. We go 3 wide down the backstretch. Oh, God.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Smith tried to make a move too late.
All
Now
of a
he's caught in
sudden,
the middle
Kensley
there.
Smith just got hung out to dry and now begging for a push. Whoa! Oh, watch the 13.
Honeycutt screwed.
Honeycutt just bit the big one, trying to give a bump to league owner Andrew Teft. And now, if the 15 doesn't give Teft a good square bump, he's going to be the next one to take it down to the apron.
Honeycutt dropped like a bag of bricks, but still looks like it should be still in line here, but certainly fell fast.
Andrew Teft up here on the high side, way high. He now comes back down in line, and we go side by side down the backstretch here.
Wilcox pulling a side draft on Kensley Smith, awfully close there.
Wilcox wasn't real confident in that side draft. He decided getting help from the 9 was a lot safer.
Yeah, but Wilcox, or the 9 of Skinner and Kensley Smith, certainly not giving each other a ton of room. They do a little bit now, but not afraid to get right up next to that door. Rodriguez up to the top.
Diego Rodriguez
Ooh,
swings
that's
through the
4 wide.
trioval. We're 4 laps to go. Oh, they wreck.
Skinner!
NASCAR overtime, here we come.
Skinner!
Skinner!
I was just about to say it, too. I was going to be like, man, these guys are precise in their movements and good at holding the wheel, and I didn't even have to say it. I thunk it. I thunk it into existence.
Well, now what do we do? Diego Rodriguez was setting himself up for something nice, but now he is probably in the worst position he could be. Some of the oldest tires on the racetrack and the lead. He's about to get gobbled up like it's a hungry, hungry hippo marathon.
I hate how much I don't even know what to say. I just end up sitting here like, it's like you just, the stuff you say makes my brain turn off.
That's the idea. People come here for entertainment, not to have to think. If they wanted to think, they'd put on,
I feel like I turn into that SpongeBob meme. I know I'm hitting the SpongeBob ones today, where Patrick is sitting on the ground with a hammer in his hand with a board nailed to his forehead. I feel like that's me with half the stuff you say, because I'm like, how do I respond to that?
You don't. Sometimes I feel like the movie Angels in the Outfield. I'm Rich Wilder. Less is more. Or I'm Bob Uecker in Major League. What do you say, Monty?
Just every time I hear a Major League, I'm just like, just a bit outside.
They let him do a lot of that. They played game footage for him, and he literally was just watching games and giving, analysis as it was happening. And that's how they, got it into the movie. They let him be very organic.
Yeah, and I mean that's the best type of acting too. When you give someone free will and just let them go out there and perform.
Well, to be fair, Bob Uecker was not exactly a trained actor.
I mean, it's just giving them free will. It's just like, yeah, have fun. I mean, it's just kind of like Mater with Larry the Cable Guy. I mean, they were like, have fun, do what you want to do. And it went from a small part to one of the most important parts in the movie, which is insane. I mean, literally, he just went in to record a couple lines, that was it. And then they were like, hey, we need you to come back in and do some more. And he was thinking like, oh, crap, I messed up. And then he was like, no, like, we're rewriting the story so that Mater's in it.
Yeah. I think that to me was the coolest thing, you know, and that's because when you want somebody to do their shtick so that it feels like it's them, I'm in. I'm absolutely in. It's just like when John Ratzenberger gives random facts as Mac, the truck in Cars.
Yeah.
He was basically just doing Cliff Clavin from Cheers, but for kids.
It's like I loved how Pixar used to do the like blooper reels and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And then at the end they have him at like the movie theaters of all the Cars themed Disney Pixar movies, and he was like, "Hey, what kind of cut rate production is this? They use the same guy for everything." And it's him.
Yes. Hey, seems like the same truck.
Welcome to the Himalayas.
That's my favorite. I cannot eat a snow cone. I cannot eat a snow cone without thinking of snow cone. They're lemon.
Snow cone. Oh man. I think one of my favorite things is half the time the cautions don't come out on that white flag lap. It's just like, everybody for themselves. We still get that dramatic finish that I wish we could get in the real world sometimes.
Well, the drama is going to be hot here as we get ready to do NASCAR overtime. The iRacing.com pace car lights are out, and that puts all of the control and all of the weight in the world on Brendan Wilcox.
Yeah, and I mean, it's Brendan Wilcox and Diego Rodriguez are going to have a whale of a time here because, you're going to want to stay even with the guy that's to your inside or outside. Because if you give him any room to get clear, he's going to take that spot from you if it's Brendan Wilcox. And then you got to play defense. I mean, you got to play like Denver Super Bowl 50 defense and not let up at all.
Alan Bergen in the live chat saying, pulling for Andrew Teft, send it, my dude. I don't know if I like the my dude line. I maybe I'm just old.
Could be.
I mean it's the pound sign, not a hashtag. The iRacing.com pace car is off. 3, 2, 1 back on pit road. We get ready to roll here at the iRacing.com flag man. Barney is up in the stand. He has the green flag in his hand. Diego Rodriguez with control of the field still did not come down pit road. He drops the hammer and off we go. NASCAR overtime engaged.
Nah, nobody giving any kind of space whatsoever here.
No, you can see right now the way that they come out of turn 2 and down the back chute. They're not trying to give anybody any space. I mean, right now, Diego Rodriguez has an incredible drafting partner in the form of Kensley Smith. We keep it clean coming out of 2 and down the backstretch. That's the hardest transition on the racetrack. Now with a push coming from Andrew Teft is the 13 of Brandon Honeycutt. Honeycutt right now doing his best to hold it together. And you got to remember that start-finish line is beyond the apex of the tri-oval, so we've got a long way to go yet before that white flag waves. And here comes the move from Kensley Smith. The white flag is in the air. We're racing back to checkers.
Yeah, and you can see Wilcox giving a massive shove to Kensley, getting him way out there. And I mean, you could stay under that car, certainly.
Watch him behind, watch him behind, watch the 98. The 98 is back here holding it together, but was just being jostled around. He was shaken. like, had to bite my tongue.
Yeah, but now Kensley and Wilcox have such a lead that it's going to be a two-horse race as long as they don't collect each other. Because, I mean, at this point, Taft and Rodriguez are going to be sitting in a wonderful catbird seat if they don't take each other out here.
Side by side, back to the start-finish line. Brendan Wilcox swings around the 15 and crosses the start-finish line. Brendan Wilcox steals the win away from Kensley Smith, and Diego Rodriguez finishes in third. Andrew Tefton and Chris Blasi round out your top five, but tonight your race winner back-to-back is Brendan Wilcox.
Yeah, and I think what happened there was Wilcox got them both out far enough that as soon as he left the draft to Kensley Smith, it dropped Kensley back and allowed Wilcox to just use that little bit of a run that he had to power through.
Brendan Wilcox, you are the man. He has tamed Talladega for the time being. We're going to get a hold of our podium finishers here. And with me now here in the Tony Trapasso Memorial Broadcast booth is Brendan Wilcox, winner here at Talladega. Hey, Brendan, it's Dave. You got me?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Buddy, listen, you're what's going on. You bring home the checkered flag tonight. You had an incredible run here in the 26. I mean, take us through this last lap as you swung it out to the outside of Kensley Smith.
Yeah, that was crazy. Honestly, I thought that pack would catch us at the end there, so I'm just trying to push them like crazy. Maybe trying to stop the inevitable, but I am really fortunate that Kensley, raced me clean at the end. I think he knew like what I was gonna do. Obviously I'd have the run there, but I'm just really happy we ran clean there and was able to bring home a win.
Yeah, bringing home a win here in the playoffs once again is another feat that you've checked off, so now you've got a pair of them here in the playoffs. What happens as we get ready for next week?
Hopefully nothing. I think the mindset stays the same. Trying to keep this momentum going, and then just approach each race one at a time like we've been doing all season, all playoffs, and maybe go for another win next weekend.
Well, if you're going to win next weekend, you're going to bring home that championship trophy for the season. So congratulations, Brendan, as you go back-to-back here in the playoffs. Last week at Charlotte, this week at Talladega, and hopefully next week you can do the three-peat and get yourself that championship trophy. Congratulations, my friend. And before we cut you loose, who else helped you get it done on the 26 team, and who do you need to shout out tonight?
My teammate Will, he was pushing me. Before that last wreck, he was pushing me. It's good to have a teammate on your side, especially late in the race like that up front. So yeah, really thankful for him and his help tonight.
All right, my friend, congratulations. We'll see you next week at our season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Thanks a lot.
And I believe right now, Jordan, you should have... Oh, there it goes. Right now, Jordan, you should have with you here on pit road Kensley Smith, driver the number 15.
Kensley Smith, is Jordan up in the booth? You got a copy?
I got you.
So, I mean, you had it. You were getting a massive push by Wilcox there, and, he was able to, get around you and take this win from you. Do you think the push from him and separating you guys from that pack ultimately led to, him being able to just get by you and hold on?
Yeah, there's nothing I could really do in that situation. I mean, just being the only two cars right there. I mean, I had nobody else to work with. I had nobody behind me, so it was basically just all on him and what he could do. So I just had to try and anticipate what he was going to do. I knew he was going to go to the high side at some point. I just didn't know when, and he just caught me off guard.
Yeah, and certainly, and I want to ask this so some people that may be listening in can kind of get an idea here. At a place like Talladega, you really want to focus on working with teammates and stuff like that, and it's a really hard thing to organize and get together. And how difficult is that to get you and Honeycutt and San Filippo together?
It's pretty difficult because you never really know where each other's going to be at any point in the race, and I think for a split couple minutes there, we were able to get together, but we were also having to save fuel at the same time, so we couldn't really do nothing with it. I know me and Honeycutt were able to get together majority of the race, but and I tried to. That's why I jumped up to the high side in front of Wilcox because Honeycutt was behind him. So I knew that towards the end I would have Honeycutt there, but then Honeycutt got stuck out to dry. But it's a pretty hard deal to try and manage when you just have so many cars in between you and stuff like that. You're constantly communicating on where each other is and stuff like that. So I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah, and you guys certainly, at least the two of you, Honeycutt and yourself, had it figured out and stayed close together, and tried to get the teammate, 1-2 finish. It's not as easy. It's easier said than done. But I mean, congratulations on the second. And before we send you off, is there anybody you want to shout out?
Of course, my daughter, Callie. You can probably hear in the background maybe, but she loves watching me do this, and she loves going to races with me and stuff like that. So it's always a fun deal to have her around. And then of course my teammates Brandon Honeycutt and Brandon Sanfilippo. We always work good together. We always, especially at these research plate tracks, we always find a way to get together at some point and possibly have a chance at winning these at the end. And of course Andrew for putting on the league, and you guys at SRM for putting on the broadcast for us.
We certainly thank you for your time, and wish you good luck in the following week.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Jordan. And last but certainly not least, here on the podium tonight, driver of the number 20, it's Diego Rodriguez. Hey, Diego, it's Dave up in the booth. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
Buddy, listen, congratulations on the P3 finish tonight. I thought maybe you could try to pull it out here at the end, but too little, too late, especially when the other drivers were coming like, Tomahawk missiles.
Yeah, I don't know where the 26 got that run from. I think I would have had it if the 26 didn't get a run and Kinsley blocked it. I thought on the restart there that Kinsley would push me out, and he did, but then the 26 got a run, and he went up to block it, and the 26 just pushed him, and I thought I had nothing for them, and they started side drafting each other, and I thought maybe I have a chance here, but it came up a little short. But I'm not upset. It's pretty good.
Yeah, you definitely can't be upset with a finish like that. I mean, good Lord, you still wind up being successful here, and getting on the podium. I mean, you're still a playoff driver. You've still got, a chance here next week at Atlanta. And correct me if I'm wrong, but next week at Atlanta, it's going to be full send or bust.
Yeah, it's old Atlanta too, so it's not going to be the pack racing. It's going to, be managing your tires and stuff.
Well, and I've seen you do that multiple times, of course, during SNN, and then here, of course, in the Racers Elite Cup Series. So I know that if there's anybody that can do it, you've got as good a chance as anybody, that's for sure. So congratulations on the P3 finish tonight. Before we cut you loose, who do you need to thank and who helped you get it done on the 20 team tonight?
You guys, for broadcasting this, and, you do an amazing job. Andrew for hosting an amazing league, and my parents who just support me and let me do this. That's about it.
All right, brother. Listen, congratulations, and we will see you next week for our season finale at Atlanta.
Yep.
Well, Jordan, another one in the books here in the Racers Elite Cup Series, and we're finally to the point where we look forward to that season finale next week at Atlanta Motor Speedway. I am stoked to see what happens.
Oh, absolutely. And, as Diego said there, It's going to be old Atlanta. It's not going to be the, another quote unquote super speedway race. It's going to be all about managing tires and fuel and all of that. So it's going to be a nail biter.
A nail biter is probably an understatement. Well, before we get out of here, let's take one final look at our results from tonight. Bringing home the checkered flag is Brendan Wilcox, and he's joined on the podium by Kensley Smith and Diego Rodriguez. Andrew Teft and Chris Blasi round out your top 5, while Truth Hoke, Richard Ode, Troy Thomas, Brandon Honeycutt, and Ed Jurgen make up the rest of your top 10. Brandon Sanfilippo and Lee Campbell come home in 11th and 12th, while Paul Shaw and Dennis Kane come home 13th and 14th. 15th goes to Bill Skinner, while our teammate Alan Bergen manages a 16th place finish. Curtis Ecker and Matt Metler finish 17th and 18th, and finishing last in the field tonight is Marshall Harris, who had some unfortunate mishaps going on with the 21 and his connection issue, as did Matt Metler. So, unfortunately, somebody had to do it, and tonight it had to be Marshall Harris finishing dead last in the field. And I, for one, am totally excited to see what happens next week in our season finale at Atlanta Motor Speedway, Old Atlanta, if you will. So for myself, Dave Regal, and my broadcast partner extraordinaire, Jordan Brockell, we want to thank you for tuning in to Sim Racing Media. We want to thank you for welcoming us into your homes, onto your phones, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. And tomorrow and every day as you walk down the road of life, please don't play in traffic. Good night, everybody.